Eventually we'll get back to it.
So we're going to go ahead and start our live show here officially by putting out the live music.
Yeah. Did we, do we have a new show tune, or is that coming
No,
later?
that's still coming.
Okay.
I have to yell at the person who didn't update it for me like he said he was going to.
Oh, that's all right. Starting off the new year good. Same guys, same stuff, same brand that you have come to know and love.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Powerbomb Weekly. First, from Bremerton, via the backwoods of West Virginia and the oil fields of Texas, he is the sultan of sarcasm. He agrees with everything that Uncle Dave Meltzer said.
Last year.
Michael Burdett.
I'm running out of things to do with my hands.
I know. You almost don't even have to do something at this point.
Via the mean streets of Rhode Island and the
just gonna
cornfields
move
of Nebraska, he is the king of useless knowledge and an honorary member of the Kiss Makes His Ass Club, Joey Marcello.
So much useless knowledge.
Welcome back, everybody. First show of the new year. We are in 2021. Saying goodbye to 2020 is it's a T-shirt at this point. I would say, just get it out of here. Very very excited to be back, man. I missed you.
I missed you too.
Even though I see you each week, I still missed you.
Although I did think, if you think about 2020, I saw a great meme. It's like 2021. So
Yeah.
2020 actually won.
2020 actually went okay.
And then instead of like the 2 toilet roll paper, 2 toilet roll. Hey, so welcome to 2021. As Mike said, this is our beginning. This is season 2, if you will, first episode.
Yeah.
Next week we are going to do our draft. We're going to maybe have a guest or two down here with us. Some of them you'll see on screen. Some of them you won't.
Yes. Draft. We really wanted to start with the draft because we realized we picked breaks in what we're calling like the pre, mid, postseason kind of stuff for how we were lining this up. We realized that the Rumble is very close, and the Rumble is one of our markers to redo some of the roster a little bit.
It was anyway.
But I was dumb and didn't realize that some of this takes a little time to set up, and also not everybody wants to be on camera. Some people want to kind of do their voting like mail-in and kind of stuff like that, and we'll make sure to get all our hanging chads and our ballots put in the proper place and make sure that everybody gets logged in properly. But we've got some people who are saying they're going to be guests and they're going to hang out. They might not be on camera, they might be off on the corner, but you will hear them shout in what our draft rounds are going to be.
And the goal with this is, maybe the next time we do a draft, it's some of you guys that join with us. We are going to update how our drafts are going, who's in the lead. We're going to do those things. There's going to be 5 of us, and if you're interested and you think, hey, this is kind of fun, it's all just for bragging rights, like everything in the wrestling world.
That's what he thinks. I'm in the process of acquiring something very special for this draft.
Nice.
It's going to be the most important thing that anyone will ever carry in their entire life, including Vince Russo. So
wow.
I'm going to make it matter again. Drafts matter.
So because we really didn't have a show topic, and if we announced the show topic, we don't remember what it was.
Nope.
So what we're going to do is, not all of 2020 was bad. There was some good things. So we're going to talk about the best of and worst of 2020. I mean, it's what everybody does at the end of the year. We didn't do an end of the year show. We're doing a beginning of the year show. So what was the best things of 2020? What were the worst things of 2021? I have my top 3. Hopefully Mike has a couple. And then I have Dad's top 1 of each.
So I was at work. I wrote down on the sticky notes just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? I left my sticky note at the house, but luckily I have a good memory, and I think I've got my 3 memorized of...
In no particular order.
No, I think I can do them from top to bottom.
I don't have a particular order, I don't think.
All right, so...
Should we go
do you want to start? Do you want to go one good, one bad?
Yeah, let's do one good, one bad.
All right.
So, my first one,
Our lighting is really good.
So, I have an honorable mention.
Those usually come at the end.
Okay.
Or are they coming at the beginning now? Honorable mentions at the beginning
Usually-
and the top 3. Okay, we'll do them at the beginning.
So I have an honorable mention, and it's only an honorable mention because to call it good is bad, but to call it bad, something good came out of the bad. So the number one thing is, we'll just go with this. This has its own thing.
2 wrongs do make a right.
The AEW tribute show to Brody Lee
Okay.
was amazing. It was one of the best, well put things together that I could remember in a wrestling show, and how they honored this person. To say it was the best thing then makes it sound like him dying was a good thing. So,
Well, I
Like-
get where you're at on that, and I think the honorable mention is fair because if you really look at it, the way they presented that show was a great memoriam to that man's life, his
Yes.
career, who he was as a person, and what he meant to that roster, honestly, in the short amount of time he was there.
and
The problem, I think, with that, though, was, and maybe I'm picking up a little bit what you're getting, it was still an AEW show.
no, it's because I don't want to say that him dying was a good thing.
Oh, okay, I get you. Okay, so in order for AEW to put on a good show, somebody has to die that everyone loved.
See, I knew you. We're gonna review the show. The show was great. And it was funniest because I was like, well, the last time I was talking to Carrie and my wife and Dad about it, and I'm like, well, the last memorial show that I remember was the Chris Benoit show, which was done well, and then the next day it was erased.
Yes, something bad happened.
But
the
apparently-
facts came out.
Apparently, I either didn't see it or don't remember the Eddie Guerrero tribute show.
Well, Eddie would have been before Chris.
Was he?
Yes, Eddie died
Okay.
before Chris.
So
and
then
that's what they're saying pushed Chris even further.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
So,
So Eddie had a good tribute show. Obviously, they did a lot of in remembrance for Pat Patterson recently for what
Right.
he was, and I do. Well, when we get to the AEW show, I'll talk about the criticism that WWE's been hit with over the differencing of tributes and things like that to people. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. and
But I agree with you. I can't really think, and I listened to Cornette because obviously Cornette, like me, ripped on the Dark Order.
Yeah.
And
I read what he said.
to an extent, we had the same opinion of it. It's like, we're not the only ones who think the Dark Order was not very good. We really didn't enjoy how they brought Brody in.
Mhm.
And I think that was because, unlike Cornette not seeing this guy, we did.
Mhm.
We saw him live, I was thinking, at least 2 times to 3 times.
Yeah.
We saw him twice on SmackDown and once on Raw, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And I remember we would sit in the stands and just be like, damn, that guy is so good.
Yeah.
And we watched SmackDown with the John Cena matches, and it's like, that was the best match John Cena had in 3 years since probably The Rock first WrestleMania event. Why is this guy not up there?
Yeah.
Why are they floundering on this guy? And then kind of the same thing is he just ended up in a weird spot for AEW they brought in. He ended up in the same spot that everybody else ends up in.
Right. But little did we know that he was dealing with lung issues and couldn't perform.
Yes. I was actually saddened to listen to them talk about the fact that he knew something was wrong when I guess he had gotten a one of those digital interactive like biking machines.
Mhm.
And I guess he had said, and they released, I guess, this later, and basically, if anybody is unfamiliar with this, you basically have a biking machine or some kind of tracking machine, and it's a digital classroom where you and other people are doing stuff to kind of cheer each other on, and you're going down your digital pathways and stuff. He couldn't make it through the class, and he said that was the first time he'd ever gotten winded trying to do something like that, and he
It knocked
knew
him out for
something
almost
was
a week.
wrong.
It
Yeah.
knocked him out for like a week.
So whatever he got was very quick. We know he was at the Mayo Clinic, so it was very aggressive. And the show in memoriam
Okay.
was awesome.
So my in no particular order, you know what? I'll go ahead and say number 3 of top.
Ooh.
We'll go 3.
We're gonna go 3.
Number 3, the Roman versus KO stories thus far.
Okay,
It has been amazing. It has
Yeah.
not killed KO the way I thought it would.
No, it is not. And this is. It's funny that on a show that has a lot of bad stuff, this is probably booking 101.
Right.
In a way, it almost is, because you have a cocky, monster, unbeatable heel
Mm-hmm.
who has his entourage, who has his agent,
Yeah.
You know, he has his mouthpiece. He has his bully.
Yep.
He's got the belt, and he's bullying everybody else, and he's saying the things that a good heel says, not whiny things.
Right.
Like the other heels, especially on Raw, everybody's just been whiny,
Yeah.
and they're just complaining. I don't like you. You don't like me. They're just hinting at each other,
Yep.
you know. But Roman saying, "This is my seat. I'm the head of the table. I know I'm the guy with the biggest contract. I know I'm the guy who gets paid the most. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. The reason you can put food in your family's mouth is because I'm the guy."
Right.
And KO is saying, "You've gone off the deep end, man. You know,
Right.
this has been great." And the fact he's been beaten, he's been jumped, and he keeps fighting back as a champion has made this guy look stronger. And I thought about it, and you can probably reference this a little bit a couple weeks ago. No one's helping KO.
Right.
Because he pissed off so
Yeah.
many people to get to this. And when he cut that promo of saying, "I know I screwed over a whole bunch of people," it all makes sense
Yeah.
of why no one's coming to his defense, because they don't know what he's going to do once he gets the belt.
Right.
Great storyline.
Okay, you're number one. You're number 3 of the best of.
Number 3 of the best. Man. So honestly, number 3 of the best is probably got to be NXT and NXT UK.
You can't just say the whole brand.
Well, I'm saying
oh, the NXT UK coming out.
the NXT UK side of that
Okay.
being brought up, being presented, the matches that they are doing,
Okay.
the fact that WWE is investing and, more importantly, showcasing other wrestling promotions that they have absorbed into this brand. Because if you go and look on, you know, the app, it
Yeah.
shows you best of this person in this company, best of this person in this company.
Yeah.
And I assume they probably own all of this now because they probably bought
Yeah.
whatever
They did.
company it was
Progress.
over there. They bought Progress. They bought, what is it? Is it Defy? No, it's not Defy. Anyway, the fact that they went over there and is building a division, and we're going to see what India looks like. I know they wanted Japan. I know that's kind of why I think Kari Sane went back, was they were trying to set up training camps and stuff over there.
It may still happen. It's just their lockdowns are a little more.
But the fact that they are willing to grab a couple other things and showcase, because look at who we've gotten that's come up from UK. Drew McIntyre was reborn.
Yep.
You've got Matt Riddle. You've got Pete Dunne. Like half of the roster
Tyler
are guys
Bate,
who
Walter,
were over there
Imperium.
that are now becoming big stars. So I think WWE realizing that if they're going to be the monopoly, they have to have markets in everywhere, not just Raw and SmackDown.
All right, number 3 worst for the year for you.
Number 3 worst.
Said you had a good memory and wrote these things.
I had 1 and 2 memorized. 3 was maybe one that I didn't have so much. Honestly, so number 3 for me, the Thunderdome. I hate the Thunderdome.
Okay.
I
did you like
hate
it better when it was in the part, or did you even see?
Yes, no, I did.
You like that better?
I'm a fan of studio wrestling.
Okay.
And
okay.
I know I like the look of NXT and just
I love the look of NXT.
The pockets of people, even AEW, the pockets of people. I like that better. I hate the pumped in crowd noise.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the fact that, especially when we talk about Bray and Randy and other things, the fact that they're using the monitor banks that the fans are being projected on to control stuff, like half the lights cutting out and all this stuff going on. I hate the Thunderdome, and I don't like the look of it. And when we talk about the show, I have a note in here. Now that they have everything set up, there was a match on Raw. There was 11 cuts in a 5-sequence maneuver, right? 11 camera cuts. It's looking like a bad American Fast and the Furious action movie where it's just cut. And every movement is being cut to a different camera. If you notice,
I know exactly what part you're talking about.
There's 2 hard cams now.
Yeah, I know exactly what part you're talking about.
I hate that they're doing
it. Did
that.
look like it was like, I know exactly.
It's just stutter stopped, and it's driving me crazy. So number 3, I think the worst thing of this year is the Thunderdome.
For me, is Sasha and Bailey. Bailey's heel turn. Bailey and Sasha just running the world.
I am so excited to see her Broken Skull session.
I couldn't anymore. it was started off okay, but it's like 2 belts, just like I'm so much. Oh, I just wanted to. I used to love Bailey. I just want to choke her. Her makeup looks horrible. Her hair looks nice. Everything about Bailey is working because I hate her.
And it's the thing I like about her is that it's working on the level of all. She's getting like X-Pac style heat, where it's just like.
Yes,
you just don't like her because you don't like her, you know.
Yes.
And it's funny, and that's why I'm excited to see the Broken Skull session with her, because I really think that girl she's a total package for them.
Yeah,
because she's proven she can do both.
So
she can be both.
So number 2, best.
Number 2, best. I gotta go with. I'm sorry, I'm so partial. This is My Brutality and Io Shirai.
Okay.
Damn,
Their
that
whole
match
program
was so good. Their whole program is so good. The fact that I am 100% believing in Io Shirai now, not knowing much about her, honestly.
Right.
I really hadn't seen much of her until probably In Your House.
Right. When she was tagging with Asuka in NXT, and then everybody was surprised when she didn't come up with Asuka.
Yes.
For the Kabuki Warriors, they brought somebody else instead. Kari Sane.
They brought Kari, but her coming on so strong, and I've referenced it. Go back and check the archive. Well, we're going to call it the archives like everybody else does of the shows. I Stop Momentum. God, that line is just stuck with me so well on what she does in the ring. You know, and I love the fact that she's a fighting champion. You know, she's come out and said, "You don't come to me, I knock on your door."
Right.
You know, Tony Storm, I come after you. Raquel, I come after you. Candice, I come after you. They've built her so well, and we've talked about her look, her entrance, her music, her moves. Everything that she does has been great so far. We had a little bit of a technical. Joe had to step around the corner real quick. So yeah, I think Ripley and her at that Halloween Havoc match was just one of the best damn matches I've seen. And you know what? I'll even pair that and say the Walter and Dragunov match, as hard-hitting and brutal, as awesome as that was, those 2 matches, I think, define where WWE can present a hard-hitting, believable, realistic style with people that the fans are behind and still have the show.
Right.
You know, those 2 matches are probably match of the year.
Number 2 for me, Keith Lee hitting the main roster. He came running. His match with Roman, when he was still on NXT, his match with Roman Reigns, his match, I mean, at the Royal Rumble, when you thought it was going to be, I mean, him, Braun Strowman, and even Brock Lesnar, just a little bit, their mix-up. His matches with Braun Strowman. I mean, everything Keith Lee has done on the main roster, which I was right here, yeah. I was afraid. I was, because I've seen it happen. And then we heard a couple weeks back that he got sent to Fat Camp. Well, and it was blown out of proportion.
It was, and Uncle Dave, you know, I will say he cut a good promo where he said, going back to training is not the worst thing that can happen that we've seen so far, because sometimes that means they're priming you, and they want to give you a new move. They want to see what you look like doing something different.
Just the way he maneuvers like a cruiserweight, being as big as that boy is.
I don't know what they're calling the. I don't know, the behind the music or behind the mat or whatever the hell it's called. Did you watch the special on him?
Not yet.
Like, his life story is so interesting. And the fact that he's basically like, I was essentially living in poverty, you know, sleeping in cars trying to get to matches and stuff, and scraping by and, you know, doing whatever I could to get gym memberships to get in there. And the things that he talks about makes him so likable and so relatable as a human being.
And the thing that I know that Cornette hates about him, I think I like the most. The way he speaks. I love his... You have to understand that.
I wasn't... When we first talked about it at the store, I wasn't big on it because they really overemphasized it on his debut for Raw.
They definitely
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Yes. They William Shatnered him pretty hard when he first showed up. But as he said, you know, I think we talked about it, give the man what he wants, show him that you can do it, and he'll give you something back.
Right, and they have.
So they were like, okay, here's your entrance music back. Okay, here's this back. And he's like, next thing I got to do is I got to get my gear, and he's got to get just one more thing back in, and he's back to being the Keith Lee that everybody lost their shit over in NXT.
So, because we're going back and forth, I'll give you my number 2 worst of 2020.
Number 2 worst.
Everything they've done to Ricochet.
We'll talk about Ricochet in a
Everything they've done to that poor man.
So, yeah, real quick for everybody, we are in our winter season up here, which means it is pouring the rain nonstop. Our internet was crap at the house today, and we've got really good internet service, and that's how bad the rains are. I didn't think I was going to get to watch Raw, so I was just skipping through some of the things, and yeah, I saw the Ricochet backstage stuff, because my recap is a mess, I can tell you, once we get to the show. But
I didn't watch SmackDown.
I got SmackDown covered, and I did get to watch Raw, but I'm going to just skewer Hula here in a minute.
Yeah, I bet Hulu missed almost all of Hulu.
So much stuff, but yeah, Ricochet, how do you go from being a live-action superhero and then being so behind you and being this NXT darling to showing up on the main roster and, man, you're not on the radar anymore.
Vince sees one bad move and loses.
Yeah, I mean, that to a sense, yeah, because debut, first entrance, Mystico clips the ring rope, hitting that stupid trampoline spot that they gave him for his entrance. And as soon as that happened, I remember looked over at Sean. I was like, "He's dead." I was like, "They're done pushing him."
Right. I mean, it just, yeah. He had so much promise.
Yeah, Ricochet is just, I mean, unless he legitimately puts on some form of amazing aerial acrobatic Kofi Kingston remembrance level of moves at the Royal Rumble, dude, go back to NXT or go to AEW and do flippy shit.
Apparently, Uncle Dave,
yeah, the
worst match of WWE, the one negative 5-star match that he had for WWE was Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but
yeah, exactly.
You got to tell me after the Ambrose stuff that we've heard that Brock was just like, yeah, we don't need to do that. Yeah, we don't need to do that.
Just lay down.
Yeah.
All right, so your number 2 worst.
My number 2 worst is got to be everybody dying. I said that I would no longer watch Impact after the murder mystery. When we talked over the weekend about the Bray Wyatt stuff, and that went so much further. Because they killed him, they set him on fire. He is now dead in the earth, being rejuvenated and haunting the ring. And they tried to convince me and sell me on this, and they still are. And I was like, dude, I don't even want to watch Raw anymore. If that's on the show, I don't want to watch it because I want to. I know you're trying to do a show, but it's a show with people. You can't kill real people and make it believable because Bray Wyatt is still tweeting.
You can't douse yourself in gasoline.
We'll get there. We'll recap Alexa and stuff in a minute. But no, the fact that Impact had a murder mystery and the WWE set an effigy on fire, and that is some of the worst things I've ever seen.
All right, so we'll go ahead and go with Dad's least and best. Best thing of 2020, worst thing of 2020, and then we'll do our number ones.
All right.
Okay, so the worst thing of 2020 for him was Seth Rollins, the Messiah.
I liked it when it was on Raw and when it moved to SmackDown with Mysterio and they carried that program over. As soon as he hit the Mysterio program, it went into the dumpster fire. So,
first of all, Dad, he didn't like it, first of all, about the whole religious paradigm.
Okay.
You
should probably give a quick comment.
So my dad is a very religious person. He's an elder at his church. He's very religious. But he does love Seth Rollins, and he does love Becky Lynch, like we watched. But the whole Messiah, I'm here to save you. It started off okay, you know. I'm the Messiah of the mess, but then because the way it works is if Corey Graves or someone's like, he's the Monday Messiah, and then all of a sudden he looks like a Catholic, a Hispanic
He looks
Catholic.
like Christ. They made him look like Christ. Let's just be real.
The graphic behind him was like on a candle.
Yes, and
They used to call him. Remember, they used to call him the CrossFit Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Because of the way he looks. But they just took it to a whole. He come out like this, and it just got really bad.
yes.
Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
So here's the thing. He wants to know from you,
All right, for me.
how is what Roman Reigns doing right now any different? He is here to save us. He has a person who's not quite worthy that he has to beat into submission to prove that he's still worthy to be his ally.
Okay.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock, love.
He doesn't want to do these things. He feels bad about them, but he has to do it because nobody else will, and it's the same character, only the head of the table.
You know, drawing the parallel lines, I see where he's going with that conclusion. And to be perfectly honest, in a way, yes, it's the same story, just in a different package.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's wrestling in a nutshell.
Yeah,
but
that is wrestling in a nutshell. But in a way, that's not entirely unfounded to have that. But yeah, I think it's the same storyline. It's just a different coat of paint.
But it's also the same, and they used to be brothers, so it just
Yes. Oh well, shit. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens if Moxley does the same thing already.
Okay.
So when he told me what he thought the best thing to happen in 2020 for wrestling was, I had to look at him and go, "What?" Everyone getting fired from WWE.
Is he talking about we have to cut everything back? COVID's affecting us. We're going to fire all these people, but then we're going to spend a shit ton of money over here on stuff we don't need to spend money on.
So I was like, "What do you mean firing half the roster was a great?" He goes, "Because now they can do better in other places." So it gave AEW their roster. It gave Impact more people in their roster. So he's like, he goes, by losing these, like Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins.
Yes, Kurt Hawkins.
Which apparently Brian Myers used to be Brian Myers in Impact long before he was Kurt Hawkins.
Cup of coffee. That's like saying CM Punk was CM Punk on Impact. Like, he was there for 4 matches before he was gone?
I know, he was part of the N60 program.
Yeah.
But so he thought the best thing for 2020 was wrestlers getting a chance to be creative somewhere else.
I mean, it's not, again, that's not an unfounded thing, because, well, I'll tell you what, I will give you my number one best thing, and it's going to...
We got to do worse first.
Well, let me give you my best one, because I think this will dogtail off of that, and it's a good segue. My number one best thing is AEW celebrating 1 year of being on television. And I know that's against type because I'm not a fan of the product, but the fact that there is another company that has a national network television program that is being broadcast weekly, that has an audience of 1 million people a week, as well as a very devoted following within the wrestling circuit, because it's not WWE. The amount of people who post stuff on the WWE site about, fuck this shit, go watch AEW, or, oh, I thought this was AEW this week, not, whatever happened on Raw, is there.
Yeah.
The fact that they have done those things is great. And I remember, I was looking this up, and forgive me if I misquote it, because I don't have it on the phone right now, but Tony Khan had a 5-year multi-part plan, which included building the brand, building the roster, building the fan base, and creating a wrestling program that was more sports athletically driven. You have failed on the last part, but you have
Flips are athletic. It's an Olympic event.
Everything else.
Flipping is an athletic event.
When they did the pay-per-view to kick everything off, and the dude got out of the bear hug with sex jelly,
you're just not going to let that go.
That
guy's been fired from all
I will
promotions.
never let that go.
He's fired from all promotions.
Athletic, realistic promotion, and he did that. And sorry, John. Again, the Dark Order was awful.
Okay. So I'll give you my worst. You give me your worst, and then I'll do mine as
You'll
the
do
best.
your best of the year.
Okay.
Yes.
The worst thing in 2020, Lana.
You know
No,
how many
no, no,
people are
no.
big on her?
No, Lana, Bobby, and Rusev.
I think Mysterio getting his eye ripped out is worse than Lana, Bobby, and Rusev. It's awful because the writing, the putting it together, the fact that they tried to do a bisexual angle that they stole from another wrestler who pitched them that idea and then let that completely flounder instead of trying to do something with that. And then on top of that,
they dropped half the program
Yes.
in the middle of the program,
which could have been very interesting to do. And then on top of that, the fact that WWE, I almost want to say, is not bad for this as much as so many other promotions are. The fact that they took a guy who was in the middle of contract negotiations and put him in the main event without securing his ass for another year-long contract was dumb. Because the dude was like, yeah, this sucks, I'm out. Right in the middle of it.
right? And then they continued the whole she's married, and then it just everything about those three people in that program was just
Awful.
seeing them in bed together, seeing them
Yes.
just, it was just like, I mean, the only thing worse than seeing them two in bed together is if you were to go back and watch Impact and watch RVD and his,
Oh, that thing. Yes.
and like they had to keep blurring out the boobs that kept popping out from underneath because she was really naked under there.
It was.
And it was, and she was just more plastic than.
I have a feeling that Rob was like, look, it'll like, you gotta do it
No, they actually did they
to
talked.
do it, you know?
They talked to him about it. They're like, hey, compare your AEW or your Impact thing versus your WWE thing. You were making way less money. He was like, dude, it's not about the money. It was about being happy. And
Yeah.
you can give me $1 million if I'm miserable. I'd rather have $20 and be happy.
The funny thing about that is have you seen how much he's charging per shot?
Oh yeah,
It's like 60 grand a
Yeah.
shot.
yeah.
So, and the funny thing is, I'm sorry, Rob, you're not worth 60 anymore. You're barely worth maybe 20 at this point. I've watched you just fall from such a high mountain peak, dude.
Okay.
And, yeah.
And your worst was it the Mysterio stuff?
No. I honestly had dropped that angle because I figured you were going to hit it. And honestly, I'm probably going to hit a social one. But Lars Sullivan and Velveteen Dream still being employed really bugs the shit out of me because Lars got in trouble for some really stupid stuff that he had said several years ago, but over the course of several years. And if you want to find out about the Lars Sullivan stuff, just Wikipedia it right now because some things are hearsay, some things are accurate, some things are not. But how that was handled, I think, was very poor. And Dream right now popping back up on NXT after the things that have happened to him that they have proven that he actually sent.
Okay, so last I heard it wasn't proven. The thing with Lars,
I think the thing was that the kid who accused him was able to put up the photo and the phone number for Dream on Reddit that linked it back to his actual phone. So Dream, who plays a character that's meant to be very 1980s Prince, Purple Rain, super overall sexual. He's more like 1990s Prince than the Purple Rain Prince, but because Purple Rain Prince
he's cream Prince, not.
But
Purple
he
Rain
would
Prince.
do things like to the opponents, like ask, hey, hey little girl, where do you go to school at, and stuff like that. He got in trouble for sending naked pictures of himself to an underage person. Get him out of there. That's not cool.
So with the thing with Lars Sullivan that you miss is Lars Sullivan got in trouble for these things years ago. They brought him back after counseling,
and then he got in trouble
for
again.
doing it again.
Yes. So Lars obviously said some very racist, sexist, homophobic things. They might have proven the fact that he might not be. He might be involved in several of those things in a past life, apparently. And then he got in trouble again. And then they brought him back again. So Lars and Dream, get him off the show.
Well, the last time we saw Dream, he was getting his ass beat. So I was happy for that. All right, so speaking of NXT,
Mhm.
in my opinion, the best thing to come from 2020, which I would, if you were to told me in August,
Okay.
Joey, you're going to think that Thatcher and Ciampa is the best thing that you're going to see in wrestling, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. I can't stand Thatcher. Ciampa's great, but I can't stand Thatcher.
Okay.
Their program currently is probably my favorite program in professional wrestling and has been for a while. Like the only program that I can remember that I thought was more invested in was Hogan and Piper, which didn't hold up if you rewatch it. You're rewatching it now, I was like, maybe that wasn't as good. When Sting came back as the Crow.
Okay.
Or
so you're not paralleling them to those events. You're just saying your investment in what you're watching is bringing you back to those moments.
Right.
Okay, I got you. And
the only other rivalry, I will actually say rivalry that I can think that was as good is Rick Rude and Jake the Snake. When he was wearing his wife's.
When he was wearing his wife's stuff, yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, I'll agree with you. I mean, I have been a fan of Tommaso Ciampa for a while. I liked him with Ring of Honor. He's always been a guy that I thought was on the cusp, and just injuries just plagued him. And I found out something really weird that he's, I think, like younger than me.
He's 41.
Is he 40? No, I thought he was younger. I thought he was like 35 or something. He just looks like an old, haggard trucker. I might be mistaken on that. I'll throw it in the Google box real quick and just kind of talk over myself.
So that's the best of wrestling for 2020. I mean, there's been some good stuff.
Their stuff is good. Are you excited for the Cage? He is 35. Okay. I am older than Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay, I stand corrected.
The man has lived a hard life because of the physical style of wrestling that he does and the way he maintains his body. And honestly, Seth Rollins, as we talked about with CrossFit Jesus, some other things, I like CrossFit, but I find that a lot of people who do CrossFit, because it bounces so many extremes off of each other, and you have to do running, you have to do pull-ups, you have to do push-ups, you have to do squats and squat thrusts and jumps, and then you've got to do all this other stuff. I noticed that's when guys keep blowing their knees out or separating their shoulders or tearing pecs and stuff like that, because circuits are designed to target things.
Right.
When you target everything in a shot, yes, you're going to get Seth Rollins and Tommaso Ciampa style, but you're also going to put an incredible amount of strain on those muscles, and if you don't let them rehab, you're going to damage yourself. And I think that's really what slowed Tommaso Ciampa down over the years, is that the neck surgery, the back-to-back knee surgeries, the back-to-back shoulder surgeries, and the arm surgeries. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I hope now he's put in a prime spot to be, as you talked about, the elder, even though he's young. Right. He's the Undertaker. He wants to be the Undertaker of the NXT locker room. Do it. He deserves it.
He's said in multiple different interviews that he has no desire.
I think he said, I will retire and go do what I used to do as a fitness coordinator if they try and put me on the main roster.
Again, because he did spend like two shows.
Yeah, he was there for a cup of coffee. The problem with CrossFit is the extreme intensity and the lack of emphasis on form. Correct!
All right, so let's talk about the only real good show of the week, and then we'll talk about everything else.